The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists, Theo Goodman from Haas Online.
Good evening, everyone. The rare Pepe revolution continues.
Gabriel D. Vine from Future Rant.
Hello, Internet. Hello, posterity.
Tone Vase from Liberty Life Trail.
Hi, everyone.
And I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. Moving on to issue 1. Issue 1, Unlimited Grants. Roger Ver is back, and this time he's got bounties. I always favor the Greeks, even when they bring gifts. The Bitcoin Unlimited team announced this week that they have several $100,000 in bounties ready to pay out for the solution to scaling Bitcoin. Spoiler alert, the solution is segregated witness, followed by inflating the block size to 2 megabytes, and then inflating it slowly thereafter. Go ahead and send me my check. Theo Goodman, your thoughts on Bitcoin Unlimited, now with bounties.
Well, now someone will get paid something. That's good. And, if you want to look, always look on the bright side of life, right? Someone said that before. To figure out something, who knows? There's smart people doing research or whatever, and maybe they figure out something. But we do have a very big problem right now that needs solving urgently. Is that some users of Rare Pepe trading token cards, when they do transactions on the decentral counterparty exchange, they have to wait too long. And it's becoming more and more popular. So in order for us to treat frogs with the same rights as humans, we need to increase the block size. I mean, that's the only fair thing to do. ADL, if you don't get your stuff in order, the ALF is going to come visit you.
Set the Rare Pepes free. Gabriel D. Vine.
Well, I am looking into the Bitcoin Unlimited. This is about Roger Ver, right?
We don't even do the disclaimer anymore. The crusade continues. I
mean, I'm confused by this Pepe talk. I feel like it went off subject a little bit there. But are we discussing the Unlimited? What's the question? I got totally confused there.
The question is Bitcoin Unlimited and the value of the grants that they're now putting on the table. Hundreds of thousands of dollars for...
I was giving an example of why Bitcoin needs to scale urgently, why we urgently need bigger blocks, because the Pepe trading card freedom of trade is being hampered, and we cannot transact in Rare Pepe tokens worldwide without government interference unless we urgently increase the blocks now.
Bigger blocks, more Pepes now.
Just one of many examples, of reasons why we should scale. And I think nobody disagrees with the Pepes and general transactions for various uses. It's just how we scale that is under question here. And this is obviously Roger Ver and anybody else that he could kind of come along with to help him fund this effort. I am just looking at the Bitcoin Unlimited GitHub right now. I was clicking around, and I'm seeing that there were some commits within the last month. Not a whole lot. Most of it looks like it's not getting that many, that much use. But hey, there are 10,000 commits to it, so it's definitely an active project, even if it's maybe a little slow lately. And so they're trying to get some people to work on it. I see here that they are not using the latest Bitcoin Core pull requests or features. So this is an outdated client that would probably have issues with any transactions that are using the latest 0.13 Bitcoin Core features. Yeah, this project, I think I dig the general approach that's going on here, which is to allow users to determine what what block size they want. It's just that is extremely risky. From a general approach, I think it's interesting, and I do believe that we're going to need to find some sort of flex size approach to block size in the future, but we have to do it in a very, very careful way. And just allowing users to set their own block size is risky. I mean, I think it's risky. It's the type of approach that you would take in a test environment. And I think that running something like this on the Bitcoin testnet is a great idea. It should be tried. And I wanted to point out a little paragraph at the bottom of the FAQ page. And here it is. This is in Bitcoin Unlimited, we hope to eventually track all non-trivial forks and visually indicate when transactions have been confirmed on all forks, eliminating the possibility of a double spend. In other words, allowing users to set their own block size automatically creates hard forks that they have to track in the software. That's one of the main functions of Bitcoin Unlimited. If that doesn't sound risky to you, then maybe you should read up on what hard forks are. This will allow, quote, this will allow users to use the Bitcoin network normally during these periods. However, since we do not believe that these periods will last long because they will cause a dramatic drop in miner revenue, it is not a priority. So their reasoning is that confusing hard forks that cause double spend issues, at least in the short term, won't be a problem because miners will suffer is pretty specious. I mean, you're immediately admitting that your product is going to cause lots of at least short-term hard forks that will damage miners' income. It's just strange, and also saying that they don't believe it, so that they're estimating and sort of hypothecating that it won't affect anything. Seems awfully risky of a thing to run on a network that has a market cap of $10 billion of value. It's a little extreme. Once again, I do think that something like a flex size proposal is a good idea in the long term. But we should be studying this, putting out more white papers to just not randomly, but to just release a client into the wild that is supposed to run on the Bitcoin network. Well, I think what that is basically people who want to cause a hard fork, and they're trying to minimize that attitude and trying to make it seem like it's not that big of a deal that that this project is likely to cause many, if not at least one, if not many hard forks. It's definitely a bit specious, but hey, more power to them. Bitcoin is meant to be attacked. Bitcoin is designed to be attacked. So I think that these bounties are quite interesting. Some people who are maybe not small block believers may come in and satisfy. More power to them. They're going to spend their money on this client, building up this client. Unfortunately for them, they can't convince anybody to run it against their will. So I'm pretty sure that due to the incredible risks that this project poses to the Bitcoin ecosystem, I don't believe that it will be adopted to any great degree.
Perhaps the risks are unlimited. And I do think they have a plan for all those hard forks. They could collect them together and sell them. Hard forks are very valuable. Tone Vase.
Oh, man. All right. So actually, I agree with pretty much everything Gabriel just said. I will give a disclaimer to Roger Ver. I have to. I'm friends with him. I was just chatting with him like yesterday. Not about this. We don't talk about block size anymore. We saved those arguments for an in-person chat. I try not to go at it with him. Occasionally, our paths end up crossing on Twitter. I don't agree with him on this, and I don't agree with the bounty system for this. There's several reasons. For starters, they're not going to get any good developers because the best developers are already at core. So they're getting secondhand developers. And yes, I know Gavin will probably be on board, and maybe Mike Hearn will come back, and that would be unfortunate. So I don't consider them top developers. If they were, they would still be working with the core team. My other issue with it is, so I already know what developers they're going to get. They're going to get the altcoin developers because they're the ones that are in it for money. And people always make fun of me. They're like, "What? You expect people to program projects for free?" I'm like, if they're open source, I do. In the beginning, I do. I want my developers to program it because they believe in this idea, not for the paycheck. Because then you will never have anything revolutionary. One of the reasons why Bitcoin is where it is today is because multiple people put in a lot of work into doing this for free, looking to make this science project work. If all you have is people submitting ideas for that paycheck, they don't care. They just want to get their code in, get paid, and they don't care what happens after. This is Ethereum, basically. I mean, everyone that started Ethereum has left except Vitalik, and sooner or later Vitalik's going to go too. But that's just not how I want to see my open source project work, which is why they're kind of slow, which is why they don't adapt all that well, but they work. And the important thing is that Bitcoin works. And this thing is going to be forking left and right. I'm not even worried about it anymore. I was worried when XT came out. I was worried when Bitcoin Classic came out. I am not worried about Bitcoin Unlimited at all. I don't think it has any teeth. I don't think it's going to stay. That money would be better served spending half of it on buying Bitcoin and spending the other half and just give it to Blockstream. They're probably one of the few organizations that I know of that doesn't waste money that they have. So again, sorry, Roger, I completely disagree with you. This is not needed. I personally think it's going to make things worse. SegWit is about to come out. It might even make the block size a little too big, in my opinion. But I'm not an engineer. I'm not a scientist. So my opinion doesn't mean anything. My economic view of it, we have to avoid forks at all costs. And having one good developer team where the people do program it because they believe in Bitcoin, not just for the paycheck, is the most important thing we can have, and we have it. And I'm not happy that they're being pulled left and right to break this up.
Moving on to the exit question. Exit question. On a scale of 1 to 10, 0, 1 being not embarrassing, he's correct, and we're all crazy, to 10, a complete and manic break with reality, where would you rate Roger Ver's crusade for bigger blocks? Theo Goodman.
I would have to say 11. We're totally crazy and everyone is manically nuts, and it's both things all together at the same time in a circle together. And I just wanted to remind everybody in the chat, the address in the chat so it can rain rare Pepe tokens. We're giving away Pepe Cash. There are some representatives in the chat. Make sure to do that, and we can transact on the blockchain and show everybody that we need bigger blocks now.
Gabriel D. Vine.
I'm not really willing to put a number on it. I mean, I definitely think that Core has the right approach, taking an extremely conservative wait-and-see attitude and developing as much as they can with our current block size, and making the most of that, making it as efficient as possible. But nobody really knows, and we definitely could be wrong. So I'm just going to be agnostic on this one.
So we're picking a lower number. Tone Vase.
I mean, look, I know Roger Ver is a smart guy. I like Roger Ver. On this particular issue, I'm going to give him a 7.5. I can always be wrong on things, but I'll give him a 7.5. But we should ask him what score he's given me.
Tone is absolutely correct. The correct answer is 7. 7 is the correct answer. Moving on to issue 2. Issue 2, Bitcoin and India. Bitcoin startup UnoCoin raised $1.5 million this week, the most ever for an Indian Bitcoin startup, as they continue to spread the word about Bitcoin, allowing their customers to buy and sell the fledgling cryptocurrency in India. With more than 100,000 customers and 30 employees. Is India the next China? Will Bitcoin take off in India? Gabriel Devon.
I think India is an incredibly interesting and primed market. The Bitcoin ecosystem have been keeping their eyes on India for at least 3-4 years because of their history investing in sound assets like gold. They love gold there. They give it also culturally as a gift. And that, culturally, I think it's quite related to banking over the last few centuries. People there don't trust banks for good reason. So on that level, it's great. On the tech side, you have a huge millions upon millions of extremely tech-savvy individuals that have been trained in excellent academies in India that churn out masses of developers who are extremely tech proficient. And so then you have that side as well. So you have both ingredients. You have a currency that's had some issues in the past. The rupee is not always the most sound fiat, so people are very wary of using it and wary of keeping their savings in it. People are aware that it's risky. So I think Bitcoin has a really positive potential in India, but of course volumes are still very low. The penetration into the culture and society is extremely minimal too. So nobody can really say for certain, but boy, the potential certainly looks great. And as far as I can tell, UnoCoin is just a brokerage, kind of like Coinbase, or maybe an exchange as well. That's obviously the first on-ramping type of corporation to come to new markets. Very, very important. And I feel like with the U.S. government taking a relatively hands-off, gloves-off approach recently and over the past few years to Bitcoin on the whole, India as a main trading partner and as a main ally of the United States is likely to do the same. I think that is quite bullish for Bitcoin over the long term, but we'll see how long it takes to hit a tipping point over there.
What we need next is a Bollywood musical about Bitcoin. Tone Vase.
I'm sure that's coming. I mean, I saw the Vietnamese movie when I was in Vietnam. They had a movie. It was called Bitcoin Heist. I actually enjoyed it. We went to like the pre-screening of it. So I am with Gabriel. I like Bitcoin's prospects in India for several reasons. Gabe did mention gold, and I'm gonna highlight that some more. So in the last few years, gold was becoming popular, but as like most governments, they like to have control of their currency. So I've seen the, what do you call them? When you're landing in a foreign country, you got to fill out one of those cards on the airplane. What are they called?
Customs card.
Yeah.
Customs claim.
I've seen the Indian customs card, and you actually have to declare if you're bringing any gold into the country, and even if you're wearing jewelry above the stated amount in gold or other precious metals, I guess, but it was specific to gold. So they're starting to crack down. I read one article a few years ago where if you rat on someone smuggling gold into the country to the authorities, you would get a bigger reward than if you ratted on someone who was smuggling heroin into the country. So they might double down on the gold. Now, gold is actually part of their culture, but when some of the people say, hey, those that are using gold as a straight up investment, they're going to discover that Bitcoin works incredibly well. I have met a few people that work in UnoCoin, and I like the guys. I know I've had some interactions with some of their other core team over there on Twitter. I like that team. I would love to go visit that company if I'm ever in Bangalore, which hopefully I will be one day. I haven't made it to India yet. That would be great. I wish them the best. I hope that their priority number one is Bitcoin security, because everyone else has been hacked, and they probably will as well. So they need to seriously focus all of their energy, and half of that funding that they got, the 1.5 million, if they're listening, I recommend spending at least 25 to 50% of that funding on securing your Bitcoin. It is one of the biggest challenges in the world, and maybe that's the team. I mean, I looked at their bios. They're all pretty much engineers. Most of them did come from the virtual reality world. I'm not sure how critical security is in the virtual reality world, but not nearly as much as it is in Bitcoin. So my advice to them is to focus on that. I saw that they had 100,000 users. I find that, well, I'm not sure. That's kind of hard to believe. That's a lot of users. I hope that's not like just wallets, but I hope those are actual independent users. I don't know about their KYC AML requirements. I hope they are the minimum they are allowed to make them without going to prison. So I hope they're staying on that line of things. And I kind of like what I'm like hearing out of India these days. They're trying to remove a lot of the laws, remove some of the bureaucracy, because they've been known to have insane bureaucracy, in order to have a more free market-ish environment. So I wish them well. I think India is a very good market for Bitcoin.
Theo Goodman.
Yeah, I agree. It's a big market. There are a lot of people there. And yeah, they definitely have the tradition of gold and silver. Precious metals is a big deal there. Physical gold and silver, especially jewelry, trades at crazy premiums there. There's very high demand. And I was not able to pull up or find the exact web page, but I believe in 2013 or 2014, the government did even law that said the banks were not allowed to store any more precious metals for people, because people were buying too much. They were just buying, tons of it. And the government was getting afraid that people were buying too much, and the rupee was having a crisis then too. I can see the exact date of that. I don't know for 100% sure if that's still the case, but the government definitely does pay attention to how much precious metals people are buying. And yeah, definitely Bitcoin could be an option for people. Of course, it weighs less, easier to transport, and you can hedge against the rupee probably. I don't know the exact correlation right now, but I'm pretty sure that would definitely be a way to do that. So yeah, great. Takes off. People can learn about Bitcoin there, and especially now with smartphones as cheap as they are and stuff, I'm sure that they're ready to go.
I agree with the panel. Very excited about the future of India and Bitcoin and UnoCoin. Good guys. Moving on to the exit question. If not India, where next? Name the next country to get Bitcoin fever. Gabriel D. Vine.
I'm going to say South Korea. Those gaming type of things. Yeah. Colored coins, that type of stuff. Token. Yeah.
StarCraft coin. Tone vase.
Oh man, that's a tough one. I don't know. I want to say Vietnam, because their currency is just constantly devaluating. So I really want to say Vietnam, but I've been to Vietnam. Not many people know what's going on over there. Hopefully Dominic will keep spreading the word. There's like a cool picture. There's like there are some offices there, like Bitcoin ATM machines, and nice big Bitcoin sign right next to a Western Union sign. So I'm hoping Vietnam is. It's prime. I mean, they're a cash society, and they will need to go digital sooner or later. They just don't trust their government. So I'll go with that one.
Theo Goodman.
You stole my answer a little bit. Dominic is co-founder of the Bitcoin meetup here in Frankfurt, Germany, and wish him well in Vietnam. Let's see what happens there. in Vietnam. But yeah, I think that it's pretty much under the radar right now. At least that's I haven't been to Vietnam, but that's the impression I got from what's going on there. And also, ladies and gentlemen, check it out. I think it's transmission 23 here on the World Crypto Network. You can watch about a 30-minute interview where I talked to Dominic from Bitcoin Vietnam about status, and that was in summer 2015. But it's a good timestamp. And, he talks about a few basic things about what's going on in Vietnam. And he's really at the basics, how do you do it? And what is really interesting, though, is that I'm going to stay with Vietnam. Is this a short answer and it's turning into a long answer, but that's okay. He gave, and on the interview too, he pretty much gave the reality of the remittance things where you're on Bitcoin conferences and people say, yeah, it costs $10 to send money. But normally that's not true because people are real clever. So even if it did cost money, they have groups of people that do it all together. So they only have to pay once and they just redistribute it when it gets there. And they know the cheapest ways to do it. So you're competing. He's found he does have a remittance thing going on, but I don't know how much it's being used. So let's see. But I'm for let's say Southeast Asia.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in for 1 second. The conference that we had out there, or he put together out there, I was one of the speakers. Was called Blockfin Asia, so you can probably Google that on YouTube. Some of the videos have come out, and some of the bank representatives I know came out and were willing to learn. So I was my anti-government rhetoric down when I was doing my presentations there, but that's okay. It was for the greater good.
I was going to say Mexico, but I'm going to agree with the panel and go with Vietnam. Moving on to issue 3. Issue 3, beware of trading OneCoin. The British FCA, the Financial Conduct Organization, warned that consumers should be wary of trading or mining OneCoin. OneCoin, which bills itself as superior to Bitcoin, plans to double all users' coins by October, featuring a well-oiled multi-level marketing plan where new users are not invited not only to invest at the minimum level of $10,000, but also to invite their friends to invest more. Tone Vase, your thoughts on the FCA's warning about OneCoin?
Oh, God. Hey, so if anyone who's watching this and knows how do you trade OneCoin or how do you actually mine OneCoin, please leave a comment below the video because I'm curious. I mean, it's not open mining. That I kind of know that. They just take your money.
I believe it's centralized, a centralized ledger, and they just double your coins. That's why I think it's unfortunate you can't short them. So
right. I don't even know what exchange trades them. I mean, the reason why people have asked me like, oh, how come you're not, scam busting OneCoin? There's no challenge there. Not a single Bitcoiner would be scammed by OneCoin. It is unreasonably obvious to all of us, to anyone watching this, of how much of a scam it is. Now, to me, it's not much different than, say, Steemit, yet no one sees Steemit as a scam, but everyone sees OneCoin as a scam. To me, they're exactly the same, but only OneCoin's making way more money at the moment, which is why it's on the regulator's radar. People have to realize that the reason why the authorities are looking into OneCoin is because way more money was invested. I mean, people are investing $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. They're cashing out their retirement funds and giving them to other people. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. It's obvious to anyone watching this video what a scam OneCoin is.
Well, and that's part of the problem. It's so hard to spread the word about this OneCoin scam because the people that they're hitting are not technologists. They're not cutting edge cyberpunks or libertarians or these liberty rights people we have. They're normal people, presumably, being hit by these multi-level marketing schemes. And they're coming in to see the seminar and they have the guys with the presentations and the big speech and everything. And then they invest and they tell their friends. And as much as we want to warn people about OneCoin, there's not much we can do. The people that are getting into OneCoin are not into Bitcoin, so they're not getting this necessary education.
And all the people that are pitching OneCoin and doing these seminars, they mention Bitcoin, and then they talk about, you know, all the bad parts of Bitcoin. And then when you talk to some of these OneCoin people, and I haven't talked to many of them, I don't bother attending those meetings. But when I do occasionally run across the OneCoin people, and I try to tell them it's a scam, their answer to me is, well, if OneCoin's a scam, so is Bitcoin, right? And anyone that tells me the same thing for Ethereum, I've gotten this about Ethereum, I've gotten this about Steemit, I've gotten the same answer about every altcoin. Just remember, anytime you try to convince me that Ethereum or Steemit are not scams, you're telling me exactly the same thing that OneCoin people are. So anyone in Ethereum, anyone in Steemit, anyone in a lot of these app coins that were pre-mined and handed out, and proof of stake on top of that, you are OneCoin. Just remember that. You are OneCoin. OneCoin is just doing it better than you because the founders are making insane amount of money from other people. Granted, their coin isn't actually being live traded, so it's not going up 20x like Ethereum did. But they definitely have taken in more money than the Ethereum crowd sale did. It's just that the Ethereum token went up based on hype because all those people need to cash out the problem and put the bag onto someone else. So the next set of people are pumping it. But when it comes to OneCoin, you can't really sell it. So all their efforts, as this money is rolling in from retirees, $20,000, $30,000 at a time, all their efforts are spent convincing all of these people not to cash out the OneCoin and that they will double their OneCoin. They will tell them anything because they can't actually cash them out. It's a straight up Ponzi scheme. So I don't know. After OneCoin gets taken down and implodes, it'll be an obvious blueprint, no different than Paycoin. And that will be one of my examples going forward. Well, as I talk more about Ethereum and Steemit and what's coming out, Zcash, the Zukos thing, that'll probably be another one. I haven't gotten to that one yet. I'll get to it. I'm sure it'll be as bad as all those other ones.
So an endless future of endless scam coins created by people looking to rip off the next new person into crypto. Is this what Bitcoin has wrought? Is this what we've created? Is this the path to a new currency? Is 100 scams, 1,000 scams?
I'm going to quote Theo with one sentence before I give it off to him. We're creating a generation of bag holders. And on that note, I give it to Theo.
Theo Goodman.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, let's clear up a few things about OneCoin. Let's set the story straight, ladies and gentlemen. OneCoin on the OneCoin exchange, only accessible to OneCoin members through their OneCoin website. So it's definitely traded. I mean, there was this guy, he invested 10,000. He's already doubled his money the other day. So, you know, he's holding, and what he did is he put that 10,000 right back in and he reinvested. And so now he's really heavily invested in it. And he's really, he just checked the exchange the other day and he told me, I mean, he's making so much. I don't know. I think all these people that are talking about it being a scam are just simply jealous about it. And of course, OneCoin is mined. You know, they're the scientist, you know, that lady, what's her name? Yeah, she's a scientist and she graduated from a very well-known university and she's really smart. And she's talking about mining all the time. I think they're going to use one of those extra algorithms, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. We are not appealing coin. Not me. I'm not in it, but OneCoin is not appealing to the tech savvy to do what Bitcoin failed doing. They say that Bitcoin failed at getting to the regular people. OneCoin is supposed to be a coin for the everyday person to make money. So basically, to break it down. But it's only at this mysterious exchange controlled by Onecoin. It's mined, but nobody knows how it works. So probably they just move a number on the database, and this lady gives talks about it. And what the thing that they do that's very damaging to Bitcoin is they use Bitcoin videos and they slap Onecoin on it. So they'll I've even seen videos of Andreas talking or something, and they'll put Onecoin on it, and at the end they'll be like, and went up in value and it created a revolution. That's what Onecoin can do for you, and things like that. So it's pretty amazing what they're doing. People, I don't really know why people fall for all this, but I guess they do. They see other people getting rich for free and they think they can get rich for free too. So it's just a lesson to be learned. And if you're thinking about investing in Onecoin, off making a wallet over at Counter.io, a counterparty wallet, going over to the decentral exchange and buying as many rare Pepe cards as you possibly can.
It's a good point, Theo. And part of the thing with Onecoin is this is what I thought Bitcoin should have done in the first place. We should be having conferences. We should be giving presentations. We should be advertising the Bitcoin. But unfortunately, there is no Bitcoin, the company, and no one seems to want to invest in this. So now there's this gap, and that vacuum has been filled by Onecoin. And if you think about it, they're better at marketing. They're better at seminars. They're better at scamming checks out of retirees. Bitcoiners, technology people are not good at any of these things. We would be very bad at our presentations. We wouldn't scam the checks out. We wouldn't say 10,000 is only a place to start. We have too many ethics, I think. There's something special about Onecoin, and I think 2Coin, 3Coin, 4Coin, all of the followers will be good as well. Gabriel Devine, what do you think about Onecoin?
Well, I got to say that I'm very disappointed in the supposed financial conduct organization. It took them so long to find this relatively large and successful scam. I mean, what are we paying? What are those poor British citizens paying all those taxes for these incompetent regulators that takes them an entire 16 months or whatever this scam has been running in order to issue a warning about it? It's just ridiculous. These people are totally clueless. Onecoin is what I think we could do. Trying to look for a silver lining here. There's Onecoin. They're excellent at marketing. The problem is that all their marketing is scam oriented, and it's geared toward people who are idiots. And so anybody with any sense is going to be turned off. So unfortunately, we can't really take any marketing tips. I'm trying to look for that silver lining. Basically, the crypto game is last man standing. It's going to take years to shake out. The people on this show, we generally believe Bitcoin for sure will be a man standing. It's possible that there may be more than one, but I really doubt that more than one coin will act as, a world, sort of a new reserve currency, so to speak, not in a nation state point of view, but as a unit of account. And I think it's going to be Bitcoin. So I think it's really just all of these scams work toward that point of last man standing. We're going to see all these scams come and go, and after a while people will just chuckle it off. 8-9 years from now, maybe it might take that long or longer. People are going to be like, oh, why would I use that instead of Bitcoin? What's the thing? And it will genuinely, people will be more familiar with these cryptocurrencies, and people will genuinely be able to apply it to their lives, just like the Silk Road users applied it to their lives. They're like, okay, I got this problem where I want to sell something that's illegal, but the money is all tracking if I do it at a distance. So this Bitcoin thing solves my problem. Same thing for, developing country, software developers going on a website, and they don't want to have to get killed by Amazon gift card margins or whatever it is on Mechanical Turk. And they're like, why would I do that when I get Bitcoin? It'll be worth more tomorrow than it's worth today. And so I think that type of functional approach to cryptocurrencies will happen as they penetrate into society. People will become more and more inured to these. It's speculation. I mean, even Bitcoiners are all speculating. It's being used, but speculation is a dangerous period where you can really, as we see, take advantage of the naive in these crowd sales, these ICOs, initial crypto offerings. There's so much scam, and I think it was only a matter of time before some real professional level con people, I don't want to call them con men because I know it's generally organized by this horrible criminal woman at the top of the organization. So we're going to see more of these. I think it's going to be a real boom times for scams and cons over the next 10 years.
Hey,
Finally, gender equality comes to con men with con people. Go ahead, Tony.
I want to briefly push back on Gabriel a little bit on something you said. I don't think 16 months of the regulators waiting to go after OneCoin is unreasonable. I think that's fine because we could have been sitting here, 11 saying the same thing about Bitcoin. How come the regulators aren't, shutting this scam down? I didn't really see Bitcoin as a scam back then. I just saw it. I knew about it. I first heard about Bitcoin in late 2010. Of course, I'm an idiot, so I didn't actually buy into it till like the Cyprus events happened. But I heard about it in 2010 because of WikiLeaks, and I kind of somewhat kept my ear on it. Like just listen, no one told me. I never had a single friend in the Bitcoin world. I mean, when I was trying to buy a Bitcoin, I didn't know anyone. I just had to like Google, how the hell do I figure this out? The first time I ever met another Bitcoiner, other than the guy I bought them from, was like late 2013 when New York Bitcoin Center opened. I didn't know anyone. But we could have been saying the same thing. So I mean, this is new for the regulators. They have no idea what they're doing. They can't like tell one scam from another. But in the case of OneCoin, I mean, you should have heard rumors by now that people are dumping their retirement savings, which isn't illegal, but I think that one's harder. Again, I think I've been recently blamed for the SEC goes after Ethereum. Apparently, it's going to be my fault, but that's okay. But OneCoin is hard because there isn't really anything there. People are just like investing in something that doesn't exist.
What if we were having the same exact seminars and we had these slick people in suits, we had the presentations, and at the end of it, we told you to buy Bitcoin? How is that different than the OneCoin thing?
Because we don't actually have we'd have to, it would be, it depends how we're selling them Bitcoin, right? Are we actually teaching them how to install a wallet and they have control of their Bitcoin, or are we taking their money, holding on to your Bitcoin?
Well, no, I think the main thing is that we're not in control of the supply of Bitcoin. With OneCoin, they're in control of the supply. They've created it, so it's a lot easier for them to turn around and sell it, right?
That's true, but then these people, even if they have access to OneCoin, there's really not much they can do with it. Yeah, no, that's a big difference because we're not. You're right. You're exactly right. We're not in control of the supply of Bitcoin, and they are in control of the supply of OneCoin. It's blatantly obvious. I try not to focus on the obvious. I try to, get people all fired up and hating me for stating the not so obvious. Which is why I turned this discussion into comparing OneCoin to Steemit and Ethereum.
Which merges well into the exit question. Exit question. What's your favorite scam coin? Tone Vase, we'll start with you.
Oh, God, what do you mean by favorite? Like my biggest nemesis as a scam coin?
I don't know. It's tough to say favorite, most damaging. I mean, it's hard to like really celebrate these things. They screw up people's lives.
I mean, I'll answer two ways, right? So, I guess the most legit scam coin, if we can call it that, to me, the most legit, the two most legit altcoins out there are, in no particular order, a Litecoin and Ethereum. I don't really consider those scams. I just consider those, I guess, out of consensus Bitcoin forks, to steal a phrase from Paul Stortz. As far as actual scams go, my current biggest nemesis is Steemit. Behind it is Ethereum.
My favorite scam coin would be Paycoin, because I had a great time at the Bitcoin Miami conference that was sponsored by Paycoin. They had their logo up everywhere. They had 3 different booths. That's how serious they were as a company. And now, where are they? Where's the $20 floor? Where's my
that was
$20?
Fun. I was there as well. I've also been a big fan of UnoCoin since the day it came out. I've been trying to highlight that one. There was an article recently. Somebody tagged me on Facebook or something, and they're like, "Hey, what do you think of this article?" And it was like the top 5 failures in the cryptocurrency world, and DAO was number 1, of course, and Paycoin was number 2, and then they had like the other ones. And then I emailed the guy. I'm like, "Dude, where's UnoCoin? It had a $1 billion market cap. It had like the third or fourth biggest market cap of all time. How is that not in the top 3 of biggest crypto failures?" So the whoever wrote that article, they got back to me. He's like, "Yeah, missed that one."
There are so many, it's hard to keep track. I think including DAO tokens as an altcoin is also a good idea. Theo Goodman, what's your favorite scam coin?
That's a good question. So I'm going to answer that in 2 ways, 2-part answer. The first answer is UnoCoin. That is LEO.
Oh,
and
my
that
God.
is to draw attention to coin, which is called UnoCoin. Now, to explain, because what they did, they kind of did buffet scam. So it's kind of like, I mean, they have like mining. This one guy from Mintcoin said, "Oh, you just stole our whole concept," basically, and like said it was yours. And they're like doing proof of stake. And then they have like crowdfunding platform, and they have, I mean, they just like were like, "Okay, let's just take a little bit from everything and build it into this one thing, and we'll call it UnoCoin." And you can buy it kind of like how you buy Onecoin. You just like go to the website and buy it. It's like they just did everything. So it's kind of just confusing to people in a way. It's just too much information. I think like at one point they were saying we're anonymous and then we're not anonymous. I mean, it's like they're just doing every feature, every little thing to get someone basically at the same time. Now, of course, an important part is that my second favorite, or my true favorite, excuse me, would have to be Ponzi Pepe, which is a limited edition blockchain trading card available on the Counterparty DEX, which is on the Bitcoin blockchain. And it is an animated GIF blockchain trading card. Definitely check that out, Ponzi Pepe.
Hey, can I comment? Can I comment on this real quick? Because
Sure.
UnoCoin, I've actually was on a panel in Hong Kong in 2015, and I'm assuming the founder's name is Leo, and he was on the panel with me, and I've never heard of UnoCoin, and I'm on stage on the same panel as this guy, and this was the first time I ever like accused someone of being a scam in real time, as I learned about what they were doing in front of an entire audience. So if anyone, I know Jerry David was on that panel with me. So if anyone watching this that attended the Inside Bitcoin's event in Hong Kong, this was a panel on crypto for small business, and I literally called him out a scam right there on the stage on our panel.
Wow, isn't Bitcoin great? Like you can learn about something, discover it's a scam, call it out as a scam, all right there while you're there to make a speech. That's great. Gabriel Devine, did you have a favorite scam coin?
I did. It turns out that Theo kind of segued into it unintentionally there. My favorite one is just from the straight up the name and the wonderful marketing, Ponzi Coin. So the guy that they created Ponzi coin created this quote unquote game. It's like a gambling game, and you get 120% for how much you put in. So people would put their Bitcoin in, and for a while he paid it out, and then he stopped paying it out and made like, you know, about $7,000 a couple years ago, before everyone figured out that it was a Ponzi scheme. What I like about it is that it's, you know, it's, what do you call it? Does what it says it's called. You know,
it's truth in labeling. It's right there in the title. Like,
thank you.
Yeah.
Truth in labeling, truth in marketing, and truth in advertisement. Just says what it is. I think that's fine. I don't think that Ponzi scheme should be illegal. What's a problem is when people pretend that Steemit is a wonderful content that's totally great, and it doesn't just draw off the wealth of pumpers, or that Onecoin is this amazing new paradigm shift, when it's just a big scam. If you say, hey, I'm making a Ponzi scheme, jump in and try your luck. I have no problem with that at all. It's gambling, no problem.
Yeah, but I don't think people can really understand how bad their luck really is. Let's move on to issue 4. Issue 4. Deutsche Bank on the verge of collapse. The U.S. Department of Justice is pressuring the bank for $14.5 billion in fines for their role in the 2008 mortgage crisis. The fines would bankrupt the bank, necessitating the need for a bailout that is unlikely from the current German government. The collapse of the megabank could cause a domino effect of failing banks, leading to a worldwide crisis. But I ask you, Theo Goodman, is this good for Bitcoin?
I don't know. I think it's just kind of neutral for Bitcoin, unless for some people in Bitcoin, if that bucket shop has Deutsche Bank shares and they were able to trade it on high leverage that is just ridiculous, and they made a bunch of Bitcoins off it. Or it would be bad for them if they got totally wrecked and liquidated trying to trade it. So that's how it would affect Bitcoin in that way. So we'd either have someone's purchasing power would increase because the Bitcoin would have changed hands in that case. I mean, it just kind of creates a little bit uncertainty in the markets. I don't think anyone is going to, you know, see the headline and say, oh, now I have to buy Bitcoin right now directly. But you know, maybe it's, you know, contributes a little bit to the pile of the whole thing.
I think they should just go ahead and they should put that in the subtitle for the headline. Deutsche Bank collapsing. You should buy Bitcoin now immediately.
Maybe you know, see, people can crowdfund to ad for that, right? You know, they have to kind of like flash crowdfund and an ad in a newspaper for that. You know, Deutsche Bank skeletons in the closet, and I'm not sure. I don't think this is the end of their legal troubles. This was just one of the many episodes of it, but we don't know when the other ones are going to come up, and probably not really close to now, as they just had one, but who knows? But I kind of doubt it. Just recover for now, and then the next legal issue will come up, whether that's with I don't know, gold and silver fixing or other market manipulation. I mean, they've had all kinds of crazy things. They had their headquarters was raided about, I don't know, was it like 3 or 4 years ago because of carbon future trading, and they were like, you know, hiding tax money. They've done everything. If there's a law to break, they've broken it.
It's a good thing we keep these important criminal academies open to secure our economy and protect everyone. Gabriel D. Vine.
Well, you know, earlier this summer, someone compiled a bunch of charts and to see how correlated Bitcoin is with the world markets. You know, for example, gold, silver have a general inverse correlation with, you know, a lot of markets, a lot of financial markets like stocks, equities. Whereas Bitcoin actually came out at approximately neutral, 0. It's actually a negative 1%. So it has an extremely slight or no correlation with world markets. My opinion is that is because it's still too small to be sloshed around directly by anything else. It's only a $10 billion market, so it's just kind of follows its own way and its own internal fundamentals and just random whale movements and things like that. There's so much noise and randomness in this tiny market that I don't believe that Deutsche Bank has a direct impact on Bitcoin in the short term. In the long term, the whole idea of banks that are, fractional reserve and doing risky bets and have enormous piles of rehypothecated, essentially side bets in the form of derivatives. I do believe that that is related to Bitcoin, and sort of the idea that a lot of Bitcoiners, including myself, have is that a sound money-based digital marketplace would have a very different approach to these projects in that you wouldn't have these enormous injections of money just being given to institutions to play with as they will in the vain and vague hopes that they will be able to somehow stimulate the economy. But in a sound money, a sound digital money paradigm, which is something that has only been thought about in a lot of detail since Bitcoin was invented 7 years ago, we would have a totally different landscape, completely different. You would have, if you have people taking these risks, you're going to have that, but once they go out, there's no way to inject capital without convincing somebody to spend their hard-earned or hard-won sound money, Bitcoin, in order to revive it. So I think you'd have a lot more, in the short term, you'd have a lot more collapses and stuff of bad players. You wouldn't have this zombie bank phenomenon. It would be impossible. So in that sense, it is relevant to Bitcoin. And I do think that Deutsche is one of the biggest systemic components of the worldwide economy that is in risk, that's in high visibility. But I agree with Tone Vase. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he is often a guest on this program. He made an extremely accurate prediction. Last night he said, hey man, I'm looking at the fundamentals here, and the short term, it looks great. I mean, this is completely oversold. If I was in the markets right now, I would buy a bunch right now. He wasn't talking about the prospects for Deutsche as a business going forward over the next 10 years or anything. Just talking about the chart. People sold out everything they had because they got worried about it, and traders flooded in, and the price went up 15% this morning within like an hour and a half of the market opening. So good on Tone for seeing that. The story is not quite over yet, and I do think that the long term for Deutsche and the Italian banks that own each other's derivatives and stuff. This is all it reminds me of what do you call that game? The rope, the tug of war, where there's this tugging, and then basically everybody falls over each other. It's kind of it's the current financial fiat financial infrastructure's version of a blockchain. Instead of that, they're all chained to each other, and they're all gonna go down the quicksand chain instead.
Tone Vase.
Hey, thanks for the shout out, Gabe. I just have to correct one thing. I did not look at their fundamentals. That would be insane. I just looked at their technicals, which was the chart.
I misspoke. I meant technicals. Sorry, technical.
Yeah, I know you did. I don't think it's humanly possible to look at Deutsche Bank's fundamentals. But of course, I didn't profit from it. That would have been the greatest call of my life. All I had to do was buy $13 calls, and I'm an options trader. But what I can promise you is there's a reason why I don't trade directionally. I only read charts and provide unbiased opinions on direction. If I had bought a bunch of Deutsche Bank, we would be talking about the bankruptcy of Deutsche Bank today, and I would have lost all my invested money. I don't trade directionally. I trade direction neutral. It's been working for me, and I like that way better. I also sleep at night much better. But yeah, so everyone sold yesterday. It was insane. Articles were coming out left and right. All the hedge funds have cashed out, everything. And I see this 10x volume spike. But the price didn't really do all that much. I mean, the price barely fell below low of week, which was like the Monday price. And I'm like, wait a minute, this means everyone just sold. There's nobody else left to sell. The only place that stock can go now is up. and today it's up 15%. But that's kind of what happens in markets. Things don't collapse when you expect them to collapse. Deutsche Bank will collapse. It will be the biggest failure in Europe, and it's going to take down Germany and the rest of Europe with it. I've been talking about it on my conferences. Brexit was one of the smartest things they've done. I'm not even sure they're actually going to leave. I think it was just like a token vote. But assuming they see the writing on the wall with this, Deutsche Bank is probably the most over-leveraged bank there is. And one of their problems is the fact that they have deposits. So after the 2008 stuff, the government said, you know what, let's not put tax money at risk anymore, so no more bailouts. That's what Merkel said. But that means now they have bail-ins. So if you have your money at Deutsche Bank, you are now a member of the bail-in club. Now they're not gonna, rob your deposit if you are a retail banker with a few $1,000 that pays your bills. But if you're a business and you have, if you're a small business, you have maybe 100, 200,000 euros in the bank for your operations, that kind of capital is at risk because you're dealing with socialists, right? You're dealing with government socialists. They see an account of $200,000 and they think you're a fat cat. And even if basically you can have a business that makes $13 million in revenue, but you have $12.5 million of expenses, they will see that as a profitable, you're a rich guy running that business. And I've worked at one of these businesses at JP Morgan, and they couldn't wait to get rid of us and sell that division. They're like, what the hell you mean you're 12 million expenses on $13 million revenue? That's not a business we care about. So to them, it was like a waste of resources, even providing us with, data storage. But that's kind of how these things work. Deutsche Bank is in trouble. The euro is in trouble. The euro is going to collapse, but it's not going to collapse when your barber is telling you that it's going to collapse, right? That's not how these things happen. They just don't. Bitcoin is having the same exact issue right now, and I think I hinted on this at a different show. Right now, Bitcoin price is unreasonably stable. This is causing all of the speculators to get out. It's also causing people like me, and there's a bunch of people like me, people that got on the Bitcoin bandwagon in 2013 during the run-up, and we all thought we'd be rich by now and quit our jobs. Not all of us, but I was one of those. And Bitcoin has not made me rich, and I need to pay my bills too, so I've been trying to avoid cashing that in to pay my bills as much as I can. But it's hard not to do it because my mortgage has to get paid. And people like Roger are very frustrated that Bitcoin hasn't achieved what it's supposed to achieve, and people are leaving for Ethereum and I can't wait for the Zuko pump, for zero cash. More speculators will leave, and as these speculators are leaving, Bitcoin's price is being held together by the underlying economy that relies on Bitcoin. And when the last whale sells, I mean, when Mike Hearn threw in the towel, he basically called the bottom. If someone like Roger gets so frustrated and throws in the towel, he will mark the bottom. I mean, when the last guy sells out of frustration, that's when there's no more sellers left and the demand starts to organically pick up, prices start going up, and then the FOMO sets in, and there we go. I'm expecting this to happen towards the end of the year. I was already expecting a bunch of miners to close shop. Meanwhile, the hash rate is going through the roof, so something is going to have to give. I mean, I am expecting a huge run up in Bitcoin price, but not until people are cursing Bitcoin that it ruined their lives. So I'm waiting for that moment first. But it's probably it can still dip. But as far as Europe go, the euro will collapse. Right now, your best place to put your ATM machines are in Europe. Italy, Spain, Germany, keep a truck running because once those once those banks close in that country, like Greece, people will only have limited number of cash to buy your bitcoins. Then you just move them to the next place. I've been expecting Italy to collapse for a while. They will. I think Italy and Spain are due. I'll leave it at that.
Dire predictions as our future sounds like an episode of Mr. Robot with total economic and financial collapse. Once again, proving what a great show Mr. Robot is and how we're all fortunate that we're forced to watch it now.
Oh, sorry. One last thing. When the euro does implode, it will be the greatest thing to ever happen to the US dollar and the US stock market. So if the euro implodes, I'm expecting the US dollar to like double in value and the stock market to like double in price just on speculation. It will be insanely bad for US corporations because it will be hard for them to sell their products overseas. This will completely annihilate emerging markets debt because a lot of emerging markets have been issuing debt in US dollars. So if US dollar doubles in value, now it's like you take out a loan for your house in Malaysia and you took that debt in US dollars. The US dollar doubles in price. Your house didn't double in price, but your mortgage just did. As you have to pay it back. So the dollar strengthening will annihilate like so many things. But as the European system collapses and the euro basically implodes, I'm not sure what Europe will do. Maybe they'll go to the SDR. Maybe they'll restate their own currencies. Maybe they'll, form another stupid monetary union. Whatever they do, all that capital is going to flee Europe and it'll go to Asia, China probably, maybe India if they get their shit together. And a lot of it will come to the US and it's going to probably go into the US stock market. So I am looking for the stock market to double, maybe triple over the next, over the rest of this decade. I don't see a bubble in equities. And I see a lot of bright side for the US dollar as well. Like you can, if you're looking for a stable currency and Bitcoin's not for you, I think US dollar is an awesome choice.
A complete support for the US dollar there from Tone. Complete support. Moving on to the exit question. Banks that are too big to fail threaten the entire economy and should be broken up before they can cause worldwide economic collapse. Yes or no, Theo Goodman?
No, not really. What it is pretty simple. And they just had to pay for it. They can be as big as they want.
Gabriel D. Vine.
It's a hard question.
Hello. What were you saying, Tom?
So it's a hard question. It's a hard question to us. It's a hard question to us free market capitalists.
So you're talking about breaking up the banks, right?
Yes or no? Break them up.
No, definitely not. I think that the problem is caused by the regulation in the start that allows the monopolies to form in the first place. I don't believe in this stupid theory that monopolies form naturally in markets. That is bullshit. I think it's regulation that causes monopolies to form as they edge competitors out of the marketplace with coercion. So I think the solution is not to have any of that regulation and just to allow them to blow up. Then the industries learn, the people learn that trusted third parties are not trusted, and they don't live up to their name. And so we shouldn't break them up. We should just let them fail.
Tone Vase.
Oh man, this is so freaking hard, and I gotta try to keep it short. I don't want to disagree with Gabe, but I'm gonna go in slightly different direction. I agree that the regulations are a complete mess. But what brought the 2008 crisis onto us was the removal of one important piece of regulation, which was the Glass-Steagall Act from the 1930s. That piece of regulation was actually very, very good. it separated the commercial banks from the investment banks. I understand that regulation is overbearing, but that piece of regulation was good, and it was the Clintons that eliminated it, and that's what makes it kind of hard. Um, I'm 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 not against regulation. I'm against AML KYC. Like I'm against the government knowing, where all my money is. If a private bank wants to know that it's me using that money, I mean, they can encrypt this data and hide it from the government, right? And they're doing it to help me have a safer account if they know me, right? Makes it easier for me to walk in and get my money. But so I'm against the deputization of the banking system. I would love for the banking system to be private, but some regulation is very useful, like the Glass-Steagall, which I liked. And it was the Glass-Steagall Act that the elimination of that piece of regulation that actually helped create this too big to fail system. So this is why it's a complicated topic. On the one hand, I want as little government involvement and regulation as possible, but my biggest my white whale in the regulation space is money laundering and know your customer, and not even from the business perspective, from the government perspective. Like, I don't mind the business, the know your customer rules, um, enclosed and encrypted within the business. I'm fine with that. But when you couple that with money laundering laws, that's the government. So I want to eliminate all money laundering laws. I want money to be considered property. And then the government can put in very strict regulation on these financial institutions, as long as they're not regulating their people and the way they spend their money. So this is a bit of a complicated question. So I'm kind of, I separated it into two. So the big banks, I do believe, need to be broken up, but they need to be broken up big, but because you need to have completely separate um, divisions, where one division fund side of that doesn't affect the retail banking side. So they need to be broken up, but they need to be broken up, be just split by division.
The answer is yes, they need to be broken up. Although I did learn recently that economic collapse is apparently good for Bitcoin. So I'm on both sides there. Let's move on. We're running out of time. Let's go to predictions or story of the week. Theo Goodman, do you have a prediction or a story of the week?
Yeah, I do have a prediction and story of the week in one. We're doing duality today with the exit questions. Of course, as you guessed, it has to do with real money, and real money is green, like a frog. And the prediction of the week is that Pepe Cash will be listed at some kind of shitcoin exchange in the very near future.
Gabriel Devon.
I love how shitcoin is just like a normal word nowadays. My story of the week is something that I discovered last night, and by chance they happened to update their website overnight, and I'm able to understand what this thing is a lot better. So basically, this Australian team last year, or at some point, I think last year, came up with a concept for this system that runs on top of Bitcoin. It's called Code Valley. And they just updated their website overnight, which helped me a lot to understand what's going on, although I really want to get more information. So I've signed up to actually try to use it. What this thing is a system that basically changes the software creation paradigm from what we have now, which is a cottage industry. Software creation is not industrialized. So it's a funny thing where it's kind of an artisan thing where you hire human beings and they create custom software for you all over the place. What this is a way to automate the process partially with Bitcoin payments, and the developers make sort of an AI program that helps create elements that are assembled together into binaries. So there's actually nobody even touches any code. They use this interface to create software sort of atoms, you might say. That's not what they call them. They call them bytes, I think. And basically, somebody who wants a piece of software goes into this system, describes the features that it has, then the system goes out and says, hey, I have 78% of the bytes that you need. I'm going to go and contract out the other 22% and try to get them made. And I guess the software itself has some sort of testing. In any case, the code, nobody ever touches any code, and it just all compiles into a binary at the end. So that way you get paid for your sort of little AI that you've created that automatically creates software with your software. It's a very sophisticated thing, and apparently they've already got an alpha working, and I can't wait to learn more because it's definitely a really cool thing. It works on top of Bitcoin. It has Bitcoin payments as part of it. It's a supposedly decentralized system that is sort of node-based. So something like that could industrialize the creation of software. If it actually works, I will definitely report back here on the Bitcoin group next time I'm on. It could absolutely break the paradigm and create a far more efficient ecosystem of software creation around the world, and of course greatly increase the usage and market cap in Bitcoin.
Tone phase.
Oh, well, my initial prediction, as I'm seeing the comments, as I asked people for comments and questions, is that by next show, Thomas will grow his beard back. There have been complaints. But I don't have much this week. I haven't really been paying attention. We can stick with the economy. I think the euro will rebound for a bit, but when Merkel does not get reelected, when Hollande does not get reelected, there will be, a bit of a panic in Europe, and that would be great for Bitcoin. Just remember, economic collapse is good, but you don't want economic collapse to be, too bad, because then no one has any money and then everything falls, right? I mean, if there's a huge law, if there's major deflation and everybody loses, there's not going to be any money to go into Bitcoin, right? So you want some panic, but not too much panic. So the euro being on the brink is good. Someone asked me for a price prediction when all the speculators leave Bitcoin. I can definitely see once we get once the speculators continue to leave and we slowly creep up to the all-time high of about 1,000, once we break that high, I can see the FOMO setting in, especially with the US elections and a lot of uncertainty going into early next year. I can definitely see a jump from 1,000 to about 2 to 2.5K. And then there'll be the usual crash that will take us back down to about 1,200. But 2,500 in the next 12 to 18 months is I see as a reasonable target, because speculators are leaving and they will come back in droves.
Excellent predictions there, Tone. I'm looking at the chat too. I'm sure the beard will be back, but it's good to refresh it every now and then, get some new crop growing. My story of the week is I went to the MC Chris concert last night. It was super fun. Not a very large concert, surprisingly. I think he's much more famous than perhaps he is. But it's pretty neat these days. You can sell your entire catalog on a USB stick. So it's not just like a cool keychain. It's all of the music he's ever made. So that's pretty neat. You can do that these days. I paid a reasonable amount, but I don't mind paying the artist directly for something that I enjoy. And that was it. I went to the MC Chris show, and I think we're running out of time. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.